Hey, I'm here with Dr. Jason Lisle here at the Institute for Creation Research. And so, Dr. Lisle, I'm gonna come across as say I'm an atheist, all right, or somebody that really is skeptical of God, all right. So, one question that we might get a lot is, how can you prove to me that God really exists? I mean, we got all the science over here and stuff, but you know, if God really exists, then where's the evidence? Where's the proof?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because it's in a way it's like a fish asking for evidence of the existence of water. It's something that's all around that that he couldn't exist without. Not that God is the universe or anything like that. I'm not a pantheist, but nonetheless, the evidence of God is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, and in fact, Romans 1 tells us that God has revealed Himself to everyone. And what that means is there really is no such thing as an atheist. There are those people who profess to be atheists, but in their heart of hearts, they know that there's God because God has revealed Himself to everyone. He's hardwired us to know that He exists. He's hardwired us in such a way that when we look into the universe, we immediately recognize it's the handiwork of God, and not just a God, the God. We recognize God. And so I don't really have to give new evidence to a professing atheist. All I have to do is is to expose his suppressed knowledge of God, because you see in Romans 1 again, it tells us that the reason that unbelievers profess that they say there's no God, etc., etc. It's not because they don't know Him; it's because they're suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. The Bible says they know God, but they're holding down that knowledge of God, even from themselves, and sometimes they're partially successful in convincing themselves that they don't believe in God. So what I would do is I would point out that the way they behave and the knowledge that they have shows that in their heart of hearts they really do know God, and they really do believe in God in their heart of hearts. One example of this would be morality. I would point out that my secular friend who says, oh, there's no such thing as God, nonetheless he believes in right and wrong. He believes that some actions are morally commendable and others are morally despicable. But how would that be if there's no God? If the universe is just chance and our bodies are just the result of evolution, we're just basically a chemical accident, well, what one chemical accident does to another is morally irrelevant. I mean, when baking soda and vinegar react and they fizz up, that's just what they do. You don't get mad at the baking soda, bad baking soda. You shouldn't have fizzed up like that. It's just chemistry doing what chemistry does. And so the fact that people get upset when someone violates a moral code, it shows that in their heart of hearts they do know that there's a God who has set rules for us, the rules that are the same for all of us because we're all made in His image. We all answer to God. God will hold us accountable for our actions. Morality makes sense in the Christian worldview. It does not make sense in the atheistic worldview. One of the objections, of course, that sometimes atheists will give is they'll say, well, if God exists, then why is there all this evil in the world? And I would point out that if God doesn't exist, there's no such thing as evil. And so the fact that there is evil in the world is actually a proof of the existence of God, because nothing would be morally right or wrong apart from a God who has set standards for behavior for all of us, and one who will hold us accountable for our actions. In an atheistic worldview, right and wrong is just nothing more than personal opinions. Anything more like when you say, I don't like anchovies on a pizza, that has the same moral value as murder is wrong to an atheist. Those are the same kind of statements. It may displease you, but that's all you can say. And so morality is one example of many that I could pick that shows that even the atheist in his heart of hearts does know the biblical God.
So even when they're presenting that question, they're operating on a theistic worldview, almost presupposing that God does exist in order to ask this question of, if God exists, then why is there evil in the world?
That's exactly right. And the way Van Til put it, and Bonson following after him, is that in a way the atheist is like a little child who's sitting in his father's lap, slapping his father and spitting on him and insulting him and so on. He's only able to do it because his father is supporting him. And the atheists are like that. They're using God's laws of logic. They're using a sense of morality that God gave them in order to argue against the very God who makes such things possible.
Wow, that's really amazing.